Sing Sing is a true story about a group of prisoners at the Sing Sing Correctional Facility who take part in the prison's theater program. The film stars Coleman Domingo as Divine G, one of the program's founding members, Paul Racy as the theater's director, and the rest of the actors are played by people who were once in Sing Sing as prisoners who took part in this theater program. This gives the film a layer of authenticity as it feels like a true collaborative effort with everyone bringing their personal experiences to their roles. This is shown in Greg Quedar's graceful directing, as it feels like he allows every actor to have freedom to do what they want on screen. This allows every character, no matter how small, to leave an emotional impact. Everyone has their time to shine, whether through an emotional monologue or through an audition for a part in the theater, which makes the film feel very human. Because it feels like every actor is bringing their own personal experiences to their roles, it allows for every character, no matter how small, to shine. Everyone leaves an emotional impact, and it makes the film feel so much more human because of this. The real emotional crux of this film, however, is through Coleman Domingo's character of Divine G and Clarence Macklin, who plays himself in the film. Coleman Domingo's character, Divine G, is always helping others throughout the entire film, and you can feel Coleman Domingo bringing such a warmth and an energy to this role that it also feels like he himself is bringing his life experiences to the part, as well as all the other actors. Despite this, you feel like there's something underneath the surface that he isn't expressing and he's bottling up. And this comes through in the form of a rage-fueled monologue after a parole hearing, and it hits incredibly hard. You can tell that this man has gone through a lot up until this point, and to see it come pouring out in this fashion is very cathartic for the audience and for his character. Clarence Macklin, on the other hand, is the stark opposite from Domingo's character in this. Clarence Macklin wears his frustration and his anger on his sleeve, but you can see something in him as the movie progresses that he wants to change. So seeing him go from playing such a tough guy to someone who embraces the theater program is really inspiring to watch. And when Macklin consoles Domingo after the monologue that I just referenced, it is very touching as Macklin explains to him, you have helped everyone here all the time, yet you don't ask for help yourself. You can trust me, you can trust all of us. We have your back. And this is one point I think the movie excels on, is showing how men a lot of times feel like they can't open up and they can't express themselves, so they bottle it all in. So to see this vulnerability is very meaningful. And the fact that a lot of this vulnerability happens through the theater program itself shows just how healing art can be and how therapeutic it can be. Everyone in this prison has gone through some rough things in their life, but acting in this theater program allows them to find a release and find a way to cope with all of the painful things that have happened in their lives. This leads me to another point that I think the film does brilliantly, is that when many of us think of prison, we think of a very dirty place with a lot of gangsters who only care about drugs and money and will hurt you if you do something to slightly wrong them. So to see the warmth of this film is really inspiring. This film shows that all of these prisoners are humans with human emotions like anyone else. They may have done something bad to get put there, or they may be wrongfully imprisoned, but they are all real people who have their flaws and have their glowing qualities. And the way that Greg Quedar films this movie highlights this and brings this warmth out even more. The theater room that they practice in is constantly soaked with the sunlight coming through the windows. Everything feels so open, which makes the entire theater feel detached from the claustrophobia of normal prison life. So it feels like a place where these people can really live. Now, I have heard multiple people criticize this movie for not touching on the dark parts of the US prison system, but I didn't find this to be much of a problem. The film still comments on the injustices of the criminal system in the United States, mainly through Coleman Domingo's character and his journey to get released from prison. There's In his parole hearing, there's one line that the parole officer gives that is such a gut punch to the audience and to Coleman Domingo's character. And the way that Domingo acts this out is a stroke of brilliance. The way he doesn't say anything, but you can see him thinking, his head bouncing all over the place, wondering, how can this be real? So while the film doesn't explicitly show anything shocking or cruel in a physical manner, the film does enough to comment on these injustices through the emotional weight of these scenes with Coleman Domingo's character. As I stated earlier, the film is all about lifting up these prisoners and showing the warmth. And I think this is one of its best traits. We're all familiar with the grimy side of prison. We're not familiar with this side. We haven't been shown these types of things in prison before in movies. So the fact that it focuses so much on this while still being able to comment on some of these injustices emotionally is really well crafted. And my only real negative with this film is a very small one. About 3/4 of the way through the movie, there's one scene in which a character is introduced for the first and only time. And what's said in this scene seems like the movie trying to manipulate you into crying. So I didn't feel like it came naturally like the many other times that the movie made me cry. So I wish that this character that they had introduced got a few scenes after this interacting with our group of prisoners in this theater program, or was introduced a scene or two earlier. That way this moment could have felt a little bit more earned and a little bit more natural. But as I said, this is a very small point in the big picture of things. Overall, Sing Sing is an incredibly powerful film about the healing nature of art. It features incredible performances from the entire cast. Everyone is so memorable, but especially Coleman Domingo and Clarence Macklin, who are sure to get heavy consideration at the Oscars next year. The film also has just a perfect screenplay. It feels like everyone collaborated on this. Every actor seems to have brought something unique to their roles. And so everything that is said in this film feels so incredibly natural. So Sing Sing deeply resonated with me, as it has for many other people. So with that said, I'd give the film 4.5 stars. Thanks for watching this video, everyone. If you could like and subscribe, that would mean a lot to me. And let me know your thoughts on Sing Sing down below in the comments. I know this film still hasn't rolled out to a lot of theaters nationwide, so if you see the film in a week or 2 weeks or whenever, come back to this video and let me know your thoughts in the comments. I would love to discuss it with you. Also, watch out for my next video where I will be predicting next year's Oscars, which this film will have a heavy presence in.